safe to do bin collection today. It's quite nice, but I don't think we'll be working outside today. In fact, we're on the bus, so I'll quickly zoom off after the next over, and we're going over to a gardens area on the bus. So that's see what transpires when we get over that direction there. But it's too cold to actually work outside at the moment, and certainly up the tree wouldn't be very nice because there's a very cold east wind coming. Been on 2 meters as well. Was on the Morecambe Bay net yesterday morning, and there were a bit shortage of bodies on there. Actually, the usual MC was missing, Brian RDM.
It's going to be pretty cold down in Exeter. The temperature dropped down to 5 degrees. When I got up about 7, it was 5. It might have been lower or higher. I doubt whether it was higher. It's now 7 degrees, and there's no sign of any frost or freezing, thankfully. So we're pretty fortunate. I think you must have had a cold snap down there, Richard. It's very unusual to get frost. I know when we lived at Teignmouth and Dawlish, it was almost unbelievable to get frost. Right, nothing much to report, I'm afraid, chaps. Irritating thing, I heard an Echo Alpha 9. This is when I was tuning around trying to find something to listen to or shout to, but nothing much over the weekend. I can't remember what day it was, but this Echo Alpha 9 was calling CQ on 18.170. And somebody did pop up and say, you're out of band. Not me, I didn't say anything, because I would have been out of band myself. And he just carried on and was calling CQ up there. And actually, somebody must have gone back to him. I don't know where. I couldn't hear the people coming back to him. And I've looked in the book, looked online. I can't see that they've got any different frequency ranges that we have. Yeah, I'm going to try and do some strumming this morning. I've got my son's petrol strummer. I want to go down my boundary and get the grass where it's coming up, trying to get through the fence. Well, not through the fence, but up underneath the fence. So I should be doing that this morning. The only thing is my son forgot to leave me his the kit. No, it comes with it. But I've got special safety glasses, safety lens things. I should have to poke something in my ears because I had to throw my I don't know why I did really. My ear defenders, I think they got a bit manky. So all I should do is have to stick some cotton wool or paper wrapped up in a ball in my ear. It's not too noisy a machine. John's watch. Well, yeah, John, I shouldn't think it's worth. It's a shame. It sounds though you got a good one. I bought the one I've got now. A heck of a long time ago. It's an Eco Drive. It's never had a battery, although it's got a battery, I believe, with the solar charging facilities made by Citizen. And I don't think I paid more than about 90 quid for it, but quite a long time ago. So that's me. What else was I going to mention? I don't think there's anything else on there, so let's pass it on quickly and hopefully we can hear Graham. Good morning, Graham, in deepest, darkest Cornwall. But I hope the sun's shining on you, Graham. G8VRV, G4PCB in the group, and then it goes to Michael, I think.
So, Roger, G8VRV returning to the group. Good morning to everybody. Hope you can hear me. Signal's not that good, but at least everybody's just about Q5. Brian and John 2 round about S7 and a bit more on occasions. Alan, you are about S8 and peaking S9. Richard was about S7, S8. Michael over the 9. I'm not too sure if John G3JRL's on frequency or not. Haven't heard him anyway. Right, barometer 1024. Temperature when I got up was about 4 degrees, but it's come up to 5 now. Broken cloud, or it was broken cloud. I'm having another look. Oh no, it's clouded over completely now from the shack window. What else have I got? Only a couple of things to mention. I did hear a Victor Echo 6 on 17 meters. Very, very weak Victor Echo 6. Not strong enough to work, but I did hear that. What was that yesterday? I did see a Flogget program with the chap that introduces it on the Dart Valley Railway. He was on the footplate of one of the steam engines, shoveling a bit of coal. Right, so I'll keep it relatively short because you're probably having difficulty hearing me. So for Richard, it's aerial switching time, because Michael's coming on. G3VWO, G8VRV, over.
Okay, Graham, G8VRV and company, G3VWO returning. Yeah, very good morning to everyone. As you say, quite a long list this morning, as it often is on a Monday morning. Yeah, it's a little bit late on parade, but after having spoken to Richard on 4 meters, Victoria had been trying to get an appointment with the doctor and not having a lot of success, unfortunately. Anyway, I will hear more about that presumably at coffee time. Yes, fine signals from everyone that I've heard anyway. Richard 59 plus 15, John just over 10 over 9, Alan tad over 20 over 9, but at one point almost 30. Haven't heard John G3JRL, and Graham, you at one point went down to a 7, but most of the time you're 9 to about almost 10 over, I suppose. So quite good signals this morning, but there is fairly rapid QSB. When you were talking there, Brian, the S meter was swinging around all over the place. Anyway, yeah, fine about the station. Well, Suter, isn't it, on EA9 on 18170? Yes, don't think either of the rigs that I've got here would actually go that far. When I went above 168, that would be it. I'd be out of band and have lights and things flashing at me if I tried to transmit on 170. But they're rather strange, but these things do happen, I suppose, there, Alan. Yes, bands seem to have been quite good over the weekend. I had a listen on, when was it, Saturday afternoon? About 3:30, that order, I suppose, and I could hear stations even on 12 meters. I couldn't hear anything on 10, nothing doing on 10 meters, but all the other bands seem to be quite active, and quite a few W's coming in as well, and JAs and VKs on 14 this morning as well, before I went on to 4 meters. Nice sunny morning here this morning. Temperature when I last looked, which probably was about an hour ago, was plus 3.2. Pressure was 1,029. We did have ground frost this morning, well, an air frost actually, because did go down to, that I saw anyway, down to minus 0.2. Might have even been lower than that at times. Not massively lower, I shouldn't think. The wind is none of it, but it's not too bad at the moment, and looking hopeful that I'll be able to finish off the last border to get all the plants out and get it forked over, ready for the spring bedding plants and the bulbs and things, which are been a bit late getting in this year. But I think the soil's fairly warm, so shouldn't have any problems, I don't think. Okay, pass it on round. I think John's around, G3JRL, but I haven't heard him because I think he might have called in when I did, so I'll pass it to John. And if he's not there or no one picks up, presumably you'll take it up, Richard. G3JRL and the net from G3VOO.
G3JRL. Yes, fine, and good morning to one and all. And some nice signals. And Michael, as you were last on, I'll give you your report. You hit 20 over on my FT1000, which is, as I keep saying, very mean. So that's quite a signal from you. And Alan, you hit 15 over, as did you, John. Morning to John and Alan. And Brian, you hit 5 over 9, and as Michael was saying, your signal did swing around quite a lot more than others. So you went down below that, below S9 occasionally. And Graham, you were anything between S9 and S7, which is my noise floor, but I copied everything you said. So no problems there. And you keep saying that signals were so much down with you, Graham, and yet you're getting reports stronger than you're giving at the moment. That's the way I see it. But anyway, it's what it is, isn't it? Right, well, about the weather, I don't know if Richard said we got wall-to-wall sunshine, but we haven't. Well, I haven't, anyway. But I'm looking south rather than north, and I think maybe Richard might be right looking north. But looking south, there's some clouds in the distance, nice big white ones. Nothing greatly threatening. Actually, fact, they do seem to be coming quite a little bit closer as I speak. But they're out at sea, I think, so to the south over the channel there. But the sun's nice and bright, and we had a frost, as Richard says. Well, I didn't hear Richard say that, but I guess somebody said that you said it, Richard. And yes, the roofs were white, and the grass was white. So I don't know exactly what the temperature went down to. I've got no record of that. I did go out and I've had a look around because we had the usual fireworks display at the back of our house. Somebody annually does that, and the usual peppering of sticks from the rockets in our garden. So Margaret and I thought of collecting them up and then returning them. But I thought maybe that would provoke some antagonism. But then we have to put up with it, so it's a bit off, I think, that. But I don't know what the answer to that is. We get it every year, and it's much to our annoyance. But we seem to have to bite the bullet and say nothing. But which is a source of antagonism from our point of view. We did have damage to the house once from the same source. A tile was damaged. Fortunately, there were some men working here on our workroom, where my other shack is, in fact. But they actually replaced a tile for us, but they did break a tile. So that's not funny. I suppose we should have passed the bill on to them, but again, do you want the antagonism? But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now, and Sounds as though you enjoyed yourself there, John, with the model railways. 3 days of it, did you? Oh, wow. And talking about capacitors and charging them up, etc., I've got a linear here that I'm afraid to switch on. I don't know if there's an opinion between you, but I'm tempted to switch it on and wait for the bang. I know that isn't the right thing to do. You should reform them nice and gently, but I haven't got a variac to do it. But I'd like to try the amplifier. It's not a very good one, but I wouldn't mind getting it going. But I don't know whether I have the nerve to actually do what I'm suggesting. Just switch it on. There's a fair chance you'd get away with it, but I'm not really sure. Anyway, I had a nice weekend, really. Usual gardening, got rid of some rubbish, went some walks, and generally did what we usually do, so no complaints there. So Radio Richard, G3ZGP on the group, G3JRL.
Could I make a quick break, Richard? I'll probably forget about it if it comes around to me.
Roger.
John, I don't know if it's any good, but what about running the amp up with 100-watt bulbs in series, 100-watt bulb or two in series with the mains, just to sort of tickle it up? Any good at all?
Well, it's a possibility. Yes, I could probably try that. I've got to rig the lamps up there, but that would be the difficult bit, is setting it up, Alan. Thanks for the suggestion. I might do that. Thank you.
Okay, cheers. Thanks for...
Okay, from G3ZGP, well, that's what I've written down. The last bit on the short list here. Not a lot. See what the temperature's gone up to. Oh, it's about 4.5 degrees now. Very high pressure down here. First comment, I can't even read. My handwriting at times is quite atrocious. Might have been associated with some of the comments you made, John, down in Newton about. So the next thing was followed by a train, so jolly good on that, something you really enjoy. And okay on your Seco. Yes, it'd be worth getting a quote on how much it's worth. I know it's a keepsake that you wouldn't want over a sale, but the watch might have more value than the repair value. Anyway, best of luck on that one. I've got several watches, and some of those go back a little bit. Well, a couple of them probably go back to gold watches in 1800 and something or other. And one's been in the box of a jeweler or watchmaker from Yeovil at that sort of period in time. But I do like watches, but I didn't wear them much during the summer and haven't got fully into it again now. Alan, Eastwick, I see on the news this morning, and they were talking about that murder. Was it about 1997 or circa that time? Because I think I can remember you saying that a van was spotted at the time and reported to the who you'd expect it to be reported of, and nothing came of it. But now it seems they haven't forgotten about it, but a bit late in the day, isn't it? And yes, I've got light bulbs down here, so 2 or 3 in series. After all, you don't need to press a button to get the transformers, producing the UHD voltage. You just want to charge up slowly the capacitors. So it's just a matter of getting over 2 or 3, perhaps 2 a minute and 2 light bulb holders. and stick the bulbs in the wire up in series, and hey presto, just leave on for quite a few hours one day. Yes, QSB on everybody this morning. So the maximum readings for everybody was John VUD 5 and 9, Brian plus 10. Again, this is his maximums. Alan plus 10. Graham, I was surprised how good you were, Graham. 5 and 8. I'll explain that in a moment. And John plus 40. And Michael plus 20. My noise is even worse now. It's still got, it's still 5 and 9, but it's got this awful growl, and Sproggy's coming off of it, sort of pushing the S meter up to 10 over, so you have to watch for some time to see whether it's a steady 10, or try and catch between speech peaks and see if it's this other noise, which much of it is. So, bit of a pain in the belly. From my point of view, I suppose it could be that I'll get to the point where I won't be able to copy, to be able to read Graham very much in the future. It has gone off before now, going back to 9, but there we are. Yeah, we weren't bothered with fireworks. We knew they were going on around, but not in close proximity to us. We did get invited to go down with Marcus and family to the front last night, but Dan didn't think it'd be very sensible with us, with our colds and breathing in the cold air and getting cold feet, so we stayed in and watched a bit of TV. Nothing DXE or that sort of thing to heard at SQGH at all. Anyway, keep things moving around. Telling Michael earlier on, I've got the uncle that died. He's been buried today. He was only 2 or 3 months off of being 100, but anyway, when you get particularly ill at the end, it's just lucky to go on, isn't it? So, back round to John VUD from G3ZGP and Company.
Yep, okie dokie. Yeah, conditions are changing a bit, Richard. It's quite surprising. But everyone's copied, no problems. Very good morning to you there, Michael, and to you there, John. And Graham was the noisiest one. I could read him okay, but was the noisiest that I got this morning. But conditions are dropping down a bit, so perhaps, what's the time? It's 9:30. So we'll have to possibly think about making a final from Vincent. But all okay. Okay on the linear, John. Yeah, well, mine kept popping the trip out downstairs on rare occasions, and then one Sunday it did it all the time. I couldn't reset it at all, so we had a look through, and we ended up changing the capacitors for new ones as a gamble. As I say, I switched them on yesterday. I tend to be one of those that, you got fuses in line, and the trips are there, and providing you've left the lid on, live dangerously, and throw the switch. Never think about, sometimes think about the jolly old variable transformer to bring things up, but not always, haven't always got one to hand. And never think of the light bulb trick. You have to remember that one, Alan. Although these days, of course, not many of us have got light bulbs. We've all got these blooming daylight saving blasted things. And I don't think they're much good for putting a load on as such, like the old-fashioned 60 and 100 watt bulbs would be. I don't think I've got any left now. I might have a couple in the cupboard still. But all mine have gone over to either to LED these days or the jolly old the slow glow thing. The LEDs is a surprising one, how bright they are for sort of just a few watts. Certainly I've got one in the shack. Had to change that one because I had a fluorescent. And when the bloke did the wiring in the house, he wasn't allowed to sign off, as I had no earth on any of the light circuits. The premises are so old that none of the lighting circuits had earth on it, so they were all twin wire and not twin with earth. So to get around that, we've ended up with the little 6 inches of wire hanging out the ceiling with an LED on the end of it. Such is life. It's certainly very bright. It doesn't make as much noise as the fluorescent, so I think in hindsight it was a good job. And I've got as much light as I had with the fluorescent, but not taking so much current. What else was there? Not a lot else, I don't think, to throw in the pot. Done the various bits and pieces. Oh, I've got someone sat on my chest at the moment who can't make her mind up where she's going to go. She's going down. Right. She's had enough of sticking her head under my chin, which she tends to do, and sort of burrows in. Must be the beard, I think. She thinks I'm another cat. But she's climbed down now, so that solved that problem. Anything else? No, I don't think I've got anything else to throw in the pot. As I say, signals were up and down, but everybody was over my 9 noise level without too much bother, apart from Graham down there in the land of the Piskies. Have I forgotten anything else out? No, don't think so. So we'll take opportunity to wish everybody a very good day, a very good week, whatever you get up to. Stay warm if you need to. And all going well, we should be around this coming Friday. There's no railways now until the Christmas ones start up. Well, they do their mince pie specials, but I don't normally get involved with them. But there's normally a December 31st running as the last one of the year sort of thing, and New Year's Day. So I tend to go along for those, and then there's no trains for about 3 months. So we have to get on with other things then. You spend it tidying the house up, I should think. So on to you then, Brian. Hopefully the man hasn't called and you're still there. G0, IVO and the group. Have a good time. G4, VUD, over.
7-3, John.
Hi, John.
Yeah, okay, cheers, John, yeah. Nice signal. You come up to a 9 in the end. A little bit of QSB. JRL, you're 59 plus 15, V0059 plus 40, BRV 57. I think Alan, yes, it's 59 plus 20 for Alan. VUD 59. I've got a plus 10 there. That was on your first over. And then ZGB 59 plus 15. Yeah, what diesels have them got down there over the weekend? What's that? No, it was last weekend, wasn't it? Oh, the weekend before last, John, over.
Yeah, do you go by the new diesel numbers or the old-fashioned numbers, Brian, over?
Negative. Never been very interested in diesels, over.
Okay. Yeah, the usual cluster that they've got, a couple of shunters, a couple of... they got one of the big, what they call growlers, the tractors. They did have a visiting one. The only one of its class that's left. And the class only lasted 7 years. And they were all up in Scotland, made by a firm called Clayton. And they had that one running, had a pair of Paxman engines in it, which was quite smooth when it was running. As I say, their life was very limited. They built about 120 of the things. Typical British Rail back then. Within 7 years, they'd been all removed from service and sold off or scrapped. Apart from this one, which was sold off as an industrial shunter, and it's ended up on the Chinner Railway, but was down here for a month or so to ride around. So that was quite interesting in that respect, Brian, over.
Oh, yeah, well, as long as you enjoyed yourself, that's the main thing, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, well, what have I got to these? I'm not very interested. I got a dock shunter, I got a high-mech, and it's a Coco, I think. I never use them. They're all boxed up at the moment. They'll go on to the son and grandsons, I should think, in time to come. Yeah, you were saying, Richard, about the girl. They've now dug it all up. She was, or not actually dug her up, but they're bringing the case back to review. Can't think of her name, Alan, can you? The one which from Exwick who was murdered there when I was out with a dog. That was years ago, wasn't it? Now I can remember it. But they have found red strands on her. So whether they found it at the very beginning, because I can't think they found red strands on her now, because I think she was buried as far as I can remember. But yeah, they showed Devon and Cornwall Police. I got a room there, and all the folders, etc., all around the walls, is all to do with this case. But can you remember what she's called, Alan? Over.
Kate Bushell.
Yeah, that's the name, Kate Bushell. And at the same time, they were saying, as soon as they said it, I remembered it. There was one woman down in Cornwall, way down in Cornwall. You probably know her name, Graham. I don't. She was murdered around about the same time, and they never found anybody for that. So, well, let's hope they do find out who done the dastardly deed. Not very good, is it? But then it's happening all the time somewhere, I'm afraid. Some people have got this urge to see people die, like there was out in America there yesterday, wasn't it? Chap goes in with a gun and decides to slaughter a lot of people in a chapel. Oh dear. But there you are. That's the way it goes, I'm afraid. Well, nothing much else this end. I'm going to go QRT in a minute. Sun's shining beautiful. And I'll have a bit of lunch, and then I'll get me leaf blower out, clear up these leaves. And then I shall have a go at the gutters, because there's a lot of... I think most of the leaves are down up here now. It's looking very, very bare. Or the trees are, so can't have too much problem with that. Nothing much else. No. Oh, yes, I did ask you the other day about your son, didn't I, Alan? And I think he's still waiting. But, that's how they carry on these days, isn't it? Well, I'm waiting now, but because they did tell me that I would get an appointment for these cancerous carcinomas. They said beginning to the middle of December, so that'll be the middle of December, won't it? On that, I'll put it around to you, Alan. Yeah, very good signals all the way, and fully readable. High noise level, just not... Yeah, way down to 2. That's good, isn't it, up here? Them boys down at Water Treatment Works must be having a bit of a break on their electrical equipment, because they was giving me hell the other day, as you know, on 5 megs. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was on 5 megs. Okay then, round to you, Alan. Nice to work you. Have a good day, you chaps. I might be looking tomorrow morning and see how things are going. And put it around to you, Alan. G4PCP, G0IBO. Briefly listening, and then QRT. Cheers, then.
Cheers, Brian.
Cheers, Brian.
Yeah, 7-3, Brian, and take care of yourself, G4PCB. Well, we had no fireworks last night that I heard, or the dog heard, so everybody must have let their damn squibs off on the Saturday. There wasn't too many, but the dog was upset. Yeah, well, America's rife with nutters, isn't it, unfortunately? I mean, they could adjust their gun laws a bit, whether it would work, but to say that it would be completely illegal to carry a gun outside of your property, unless you had a permit to do that. But really think about it, there's no need for them to carry guns outside of their properties. They can shoot intruders on spot and get away with that. But of course, the law is difficult to enforce, and with all the nutters they got in the world, well, it ain't going to make a lot of difference. But it might stop some people killing people like that. He was an ex-military guy or something. But I think what they own, what they're allowed to own, should be clamped down. But whether you to make any difference in the short term, I don't know. murder of Kate 20 years ago, I was living in Eswick, and on the night she was killed, we were out at something or other, and we had the police come round the next morning, and they took a swab. They took a swab from all the males in the area, and funny enough, later in life, when I moved up here, I was talking to a lady who lives around the close from here, and I don't know how it come to Kate Bush. She said, I was a witness to the car, and then she explained to me that she was one of the witnesses with her daughter driving down that lane, which you can turn into from the road going into Exeter. You can turn off and go down this lane and come into Exwick, which a lot of people used as a shortcut. And she said he had the boot of this blue car up and his face was turned away, so she couldn't see the registration, because she thought it was strange. It was dark, and both her daughter and they sort of slowed right down and looked round. They're just on his own. But apparently in the write-up in the paper today I read online, it said that there was another person, a male, seen running down the fields away from the scene, and of course the car was never seen again, but it could have been a hire car. But like Brian said, there was another very similar murder in Cornwall where a dog walker was killed. But it's very, very tragic. Her father unfortunately found her when he reported to the police first that she hadn't come back, and then he went off with a torch, and unfortunately he was the one who found her. Poor chap. Right, enough of that. Fireworks none, that's it, that's all from me, I think, yes. So, signal reports I haven't give. These are the averages. Richard 10 over, John VUD up to 10 over, dropping back a bit as the day wears on. Brian up to 10 over, Michael nudging 25 occasionally, averaging 10. Graham, you were between 7 and 9, and Michael, I've given Michael, haven't I? Yes, 10, 20, 25. John at 10 over. I'm going to make this my final because I've got to get myself ready and try and do a bit of this grass cutting. So I've got to go and sort everything out, and like everything else, time is marching on. So wherever you are, enjoy the day. The sun is bright. The temperature's 8 degrees here now, so it's looking good. So I'll say 7-3 to everyone. I'll listen for a minute, and then QRT, G4PCB.
Can I take a break, please, Graham?
Go ahead.
Sorry, what was the comment?
Yeah, I wonder if I could take a break from Graham.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Richard.
Yeah. Okay, no, thanks. I couldn't hear because of my rack at this end. Yes, when we spoke to John, PG Tips last, he did say to me that see you Friday, so he may not be on today. So if anybody's, fair enough. But if you wondered where he is or he doesn't come up, he did sort of indicate, but I don't know what the reasoning was or whether he could still make it or not. Okay, thanks for that, Graham. G8VRV and Company, G3ZGP.
Thanks, Richard.
Yes, okay, from G8VRV, trying to talk it up a little bit. Hopefully you'll hear something from me, Richard. Yes, I can't remember the name of the person who was murdered down here. I know they were looking for somebody in a white van at the time, but as you know, there's several people going around with white vans. Anyway, all copied from everybody. Everybody was at least Q5. And yes, John VUD, your wrist, sorry to hear about that. Glad it's only a sprain and not a break. That's good. Right, nothing else to report really, except that there's no sunshine at the moment, no sunshine at all, and it's really starting to cloud over. So I'm guessing we might have rain before too long. Anyway, I'll sign now and catch up with everybody another day. G3VOO and the group 730G8VRV.
Cheers, Graham.
Okay, Graham, G8VRV and the group, diminishing group. G3VOO returning. Yes, all okay. Yes, looking, this blue sky looks a bit more milky now. So we'll have to see. I don't think they forecast any rain here anyway until tomorrow morning. I don't know about Cornwall though, Graham. You'll probably get it before we do here anyway. Signal's still all okay from everyone. John VUD, I think, was the only one that seemed a bit weaker than the time before. But you came up to a tad over 30 at one point, Alan. And John, you weren't far behind, so that's JRL. And you're still over the 9 there, Graham, with a few excursions down to about a 7. So all quite good still this morning. Yeah, we had fireworks here on Saturday night and Sunday. I think the dog didn't realise that anything odd was happening on the Saturday. I think there was only 1 or 2 pops and bangs that were generated in the village. Most of it seemed to be quite a long way away, as if you were sort of listening to tanks firing, like they do sometimes on the Lulworth ranges, and the wind's in the right direction. You can sort of hear the crump, crump, crump. Probably coming, so there was a firework display in Dewlish, which is a couple of miles away, and something just outside Dorchester at Kingston Moorwood. So whether that's what we could hear, but the dog wasn't complaining. But when they started up in the village pub, which is only about 100 yards away from here yesterday evening, it got him going a bit. But that fortunately didn't last too long. And once that had diminished, it was more rather than the odd pop and bang, it was fairly quiet. So got away with it fairly lightly, I think, here. Haven't been out to see whether there's any rockets landed up in the garden. Do usually get the odd few floating about, but as yet, touch wood, haven't had any damage, but I suppose no reason why one wouldn't hit the greenhouse and break the glass. But as yet, again, touch wood, haven't had that happen at all. Okay, about your amplifier, John. I tend to do what you suggested, just switch on, stand back, and hope for the best. Fiddling around with light bulbs. Yes, I suppose, as John VUD said, a lot of the light bulbs nowadays wouldn't be much good, would they, really? I suppose the halogen ones are okay. But you probably find the same as we do, John, that as your eyes are aging a bit, these 40-watt light bulbs are not much good. You can't see what to do, and you need something a bit more powerful to see. So I've still got a whole load of 100-watt incandescent bulbs. You can buy them still. I don't know, they're made in Turkey or somewhere outside the EC, but they are still available if you want them. It does help anyway in order to see what's going on there. Okay, nothing else to say. Thanks for the information about John. Yes, I was going to come up. I might still come up this afternoon just to see, but I won't hang about if I don't hear anything there, Richard, if he's not coming up until Friday. Generally speaking here anyway, Mondays are easier days for me to get on than Fridays are. And today being point of fact, I think that I could come on at 4 o'clock for a while, but if no one's there, well, no one's there, are they? Right, 7-3 to everyone. Have a nice day. I think at least it's going to stay dry. I think they forecast it will stay relatively sunny here all day. So hopefully it will do. Hopefully it's warmed up a bit when I go out in the garden as well. G3JRL to take it, G3VOO signing, listening for a couple of minutes and then QRT. Cheers.
What leave I got?
Okay, Michael, yes, lovely.
Into it or whatever, 24 volts, generate
3NNZ. Yeah, we haven't missed a word this morning. Nobody else is going to talk in the save final 73. Thanks for the contact to both of you. Nice to meet you, David, for the first time. It is.
Well, you come and give it a hand to shift some cabinet. So, yeah. Anyway, so.
So you can raise that up quite easily. It's certainly working on transmit, Stuart, so no problem with that. I generally always hear a pretty straight signal here. I'll top it down. It's a lovely morning, by the way. Sun shining. About 2/10 clear at the moment, but not particularly warm. It's just come up to 8 degrees, so it's a bit colder earlier on. Let's put it back to you. Make sure you're copying me okay. 20TBI, Fox 4 Victor Sierra Charlie.
Yep, no problem, Ian. Fox 4 Victor Sugar Charlie. G0TBI, and much better when I put the BFO in on the AR88, otherwise known as receive CW. So I zero-booted on you there, and I could hear the bang, bang, bang on the roof. No problem at all, and hope that goes okay. I must take a look at this roof on this shack actually. Touch wood at the moment, she's protected. I did manage to what's the word to use? Not snaffle. When you sort of beg, steal or borrow, snaffle or something like that from the neighbour. They got rid of a rabbit hutch some 3 or 4 years ago, and they had two sort of 6 foot length plastic corrugated sheets measuring about 3 or 4 foot in width, and because I had a hole in the roof of this porter cabin shack, I thought, well, what can I do? I tried to use bitumen and repair type stuff, but it didn't seem to do any good. So I did the best I could with that, and then I employed some sort of extra long fence posts, and also these 2 sections of corrugated plastic sheeting. Well, I'm not sure what plastic or possibly even what's the stuff they put on cars? Oh dear, it's gone out of my head. You know the stuff I mean. You paint it on this nasty stuff. Asbestos tabs. What do they call it? Oh, it's gone out of my head. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. That stuff, and that's kept everything at bay and flushes the water much further down the roof, probably about 10 or 12 foot in along the length of the 24 feet. So yes, that's what I want to do with the aerial anyway. And also it's not resonant, would you believe, on the 3615. Whilst I had my friend G8, or what's his call sign now, G8 UAE's antenna analyzers in the shack early summertime, we checked the main station antenna, and it was resonant down at 3585 or something like that. So it could do with another length of newish cable on. I've got loads of military spec dipoles, but I don't really want to hang a military spec one up in the air with 2 lumps of remaining cable on the former at either end. That defeats the object, I think. Just hard drawn copper stuff with a plastic coating on. This particular one is military spec copper wire with no outer plastic coating, and I think, you know, with the oxidization and all the rest of it, I think it does degrade it somewhat. But I'd like to get that done. Whether or not I get any time between now and when the winter sets in fully, I don't know. I was actually saying to Anne this morning we need to get up to the stroke hour location. Although I've turned the water off, I haven't drained down, and of course we've had 2 quite chilly mornings, and
I remember once we went up there 3 years ago and we had a burst, but it was, although we drained down the water, we neglected to drain down the radiators, and of course it was the one radiator in the bathroom upstairs, and that bathroom was on a gable end wall, so of course it suffered the chill, didn't it? And it just popped out. You got these funny plastic fittings, and it had popped out and emptied that radiator. Plus, I presume the other two on the same level. And of course, it came down the hall and down the sort of rear parlour wall as well. Anyway, it wasn't too great a problem. Got it all sorted, but I don't want to repeat that again. Anyway, I'll pass it back. I won't stay on time. That's the time now. I've got to go off to work. Probably in about half, 3/4 of an hour. Where did I go yesterday? Went to Bristol yesterday. It's a bit of a nightmare run, that is, from the Midlands. You have to go down the M5, and then it's the last 25 miles that's a pain in the neck. There's no direct route in off a motorway network to Bristol Airport. You have to sort of navigate either around Thornbury or... I don't know much of Bristol at all, or the central Bristol. But at one time I was right along the river by the... oh dear, there's a famous bridge that crosses over the top, isn't there, at Bristol? And very nice scenic views from there. I can't think what it's called. But the route back was good, and it flew up the motorway in the 5 Series. And that 5 Series is still only about 4 or 5 months old. But I much prefer the previous one, the 7. More luxury in the other one. We were talking about cars yesterday, some assembled masses in the car. One has a Mercedes SLX whatever, I don't know. Another one has an Audi A8, and he's just about to take delivery next week of a new A8 or something. I don't know what they are. Who was the third one? Oh, the third one's got a Beamer, another 5 Series. And when I asked her, I said, don't ask me questions. I said, all I do is put my foot down when I get in them. I said, I don't know the ins and outs and the technicalities. I'm not a petrol head as such. Right, let me pass it back over and I'll take another transmission from you, and then I'll need to clear. And my goodness, it is cool in here. I've got the one of those school thermometers, the ones you find in greenhouses and corridors, the wooden ones, and it's now just a fraction over 5 degrees in the shack. Pass it back to you, Ian. Fox 4, Victor Sugar Charlie, G0TBI.
Yes, okay, Stuart, no problem. Nice on all of that, and okay on the Beamer. For years I had BMWs, and always 3 Series. Which I liked very much. And then I was converted to a BMW event because we used to buy them BMWs for our company, for the sales guys and the senior engineers. So we used to spend a lot of money on BMWs. And when I think back, it was pretty stupid really, but anyway, there you are. And they invited me to this do, and they let us drive different cars. They wanted me to buy a 7 Series for myself. Well, the company to buy it for me, and one of the cars that they gave us to test it against was a XJ6 Jaguar, and I really loved it, and that's what I finished up with. So they introduced me to the XJ6, and that's what we got. And I really enjoyed that car. It was the later one that they did when they sort of ironed out all the problems and things that they'd had in the earlier ones, and I had that for a few years. And when I went back to BMWs, then I was buying them for myself, and I had a 540 Estate, which was a really hot rocket, a 4-litre 4-litre engine. A V8, if I remember rightly. Anyway, it went like the proverbial. But those days are over now, Stuart. I just plod around now on an aging 4x4. That's not aging, it's 5 years old. and it's a supercar, and I don't really want to change it for anything. I don't want to spend the money. I've had the whole of the roof replaced on the shack here, and they're just putting the around the chimney because the central heating boiler is in here, and they're just doing the flashing for that, and then that's the job done. But there's other jobs they're doing in the house over the next day or so. And okay, on Bristol, traffic around Bristol is atrocious. It's a very, very difficult place to travel around. We go down there, we've got friends down there that we stay with occasionally. I like the country for run outside of Bristol. And I don't know if you were talking about the Clifton suspension bridge, and that's quite attractive. And there is right next to the Clifton suspension bridge, there's a oh God, I've forgotten the name of it now. One of those things where you can see all the surrounding countryside. It dates back to the early 1800s. Camera Obscura, that's it. It's a very ancient one. It's all mechanical and lenses and things, and you get a panoramic view overlooking. It sort of displays onto a great big drum. You get a panoramic view over the Clifton suspension bridge and all the surrounding areas. Well, I've got a jacket in now as well, Stuart. So things to do here. So I hope you have a good day. You didn't say what the weather's like with you this morning. So it's brilliant sunshine here, but not particularly warm. But at least no wind. That's the great thing. So I'll put it back to you, Stuart, for Annie Corral. G0TBR from S4VLC.
Yep, Fox 4 Victor Sugar Charlie, G0TBR. Just give me a signal. With the BFO in, you're about 5556. How do you copy me? And what are you running over?
Right, I'm running the Flex 5000 transmitter receiver, and you're 5 and 9, and peaks are going up to 5 over 9, over.
Yep, QSL. Okay, fine business, yep. Okay, and yes, it was the Clifton suspension bridge, and I know what you're talking about the panoramic display. I couldn't remember what they're called either, and there is one of those somewhere in the Aberystwyth area, or is it Aberavon? I can't remember. There's one located down on the Welsh coast there as well. That's the only one I've ever seen up close and personal, as it were. But yeah. What else? Just very quickly. Yeah, funny enough, I went to Luton Airport 2 weeks ago in a new Jaguar XE X-Ray Echo. But personally speaking, I don't like Jags. They're too small for me. And I did used to drive an did it have 5 in the number? I can't remember now. It was a saloon car, XJF, or I can't remember now. It was about 10 years old. But I only just got my head in the door, you know what I mean, from the roof above me. So there are some cars that give you adequate headroom, and then others where you struggle for space. And I like a bit of comfort and be able to move around and fidget around if I need to, which I do from time to time to get the old circulation moving around. But this chap has had this new XE. It's a horrible blue colour. I'm sure he's not into ham radio and he won't be listening. It's a horrible blue colour, and he got rid of his Range Rover to have this new one on what he calls, is it CPC, personal payment plan or something? But I mean, he's a retired businessman, you know, lifetime in insurance accountancy type stuff. But it wouldn't have been my first choice at all. I said, for goodness sake, dude, why did you get rid of your Range Rover? And then, strangely enough, Saturday coming in an ID, whatever it is, I can't remember the number, down to Cardiff Arms Park, and the following Saturday to tell me I'm going to Twickers, and that's in a one-new Range Rover, and some kind of sports Range Rover. Not sure which one it is yet, but we'll soon. I'd like to start taking pictures of these cars, you know, Ian, and sending them to you. And okay, you're aging 4x4. Anyway, you've got workmen there, bonjour, au revoir, whatever else we say. And love to Caroline. I was just going to ask her, has she still got her money? Or maybe you ditched it, I don't know. 7-3 for now.
Yeah, 7-3, and best wishes also to Ian. No, we don't have the Mini now. We got rid of it just before we left the UK. We don't really need 2 cars anymore, as neither of us are working, so 1 car's fine. And it's a lot cheaper as well. Okay, well, whilst on the chat, Stuart, I just walked into the shack just as I heard you calling. So, in fact, I've just come in to... I remembered I'd left everything switched on. So that's what I came in to do, and I heard you calling, so they're very fortunate there. Okay, Stuart, nice to have a chat. And you can probably hear that. 7-3, good morning from F4VSC.
Yeah, that was somebody drilling, wasn't it? I heard them. So not that bad a signal, actually. But it's only when I've got my BFO in. When it's on AM, it's a little bit too far. 73, G0 TBI now clear.
Good morning.
G0 TBI now closing.